I grew up in Hamilton, Ohio, originally. Um, then moved to Morrow, Ohio, as I began high school, which is when the acting thing really took off. I just auditioned for our spring play, which was Hello Dolly. And because they needed all the male bodies they could get, I got in there, even though I could not dance. And my singing, well, I can put out the volume, which was important. And my acting skills, well, they developed from there. But
Yeah.
so I was immediately, like so many other people, I was just hooked. You
Yeah.
know, being on a stage, being in front of people, being part of that whole, you know, it's such an exciting thing, especially when you're young, to be part of a production and, you know, going over things again and again to make sure you get them right. And
Yeah.
yeah, learning how to experiment and get into the story and all of that. So that was my beginning. And, you know, I went through high school and did other roles. The big one for me was Tevye in Fiddler on the Roof, which is still my favorite role.
Yeah.
I actually got to do that a couple years ago in upstate New York, once again, you know, at a more more appropriate age for the
Yeah.
character. So, but so yeah, that's my all-time favorite. But I got into community theater after did college and then community theater after high school. A couple other really good roles. Played Harold Hill once, which is another great American role, great American character, really.
Yeah.
And got out of it for quite a while I was busy being a parent and creating a career and all of that. So
Yeah.
when I moved to Oxford a few years ago, I got into the Oxford area community theater and became a part of that, where I met Teresa, who, of course,
Hmm.
got me involved in this production. Teresa and I played opposite each other in Rabbit Hole, which is a very dark. So the only film that I had done before Hope actually was a Miami University student film called The Suicide Man. It was about a young guy who tries to kill himself and finds out he can't because he's immortal. And in that, I played a kind of a malevolent talk show host who exploits him for all he's worth. And that was a really fun part because being a talk show host is something that I always thought would
Yeah.
blast. And I got to do that and
Yeah.
and be a really obnoxious talk show host too, which was great.
Yeah.
So prior to that, yeah, and so this is the first real film I've done, and now I've got an IMDb credit and everything. So wow,
I know, right?
I'm ready
Feel
for
big
the
time.
Chinese theater to put my footprints in the cement.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, well, tell me about your experience then, since you didn't have a lot to compare it to. So just overall, like, what were some things that were a surprise to you, and what were some parts of the process that
Yeah,
were either hard or, yeah,
well, it's just film acting is completely different. Of course, as you know, there's a lot of waiting. There's a
yeah,
lot of waiting, and lights being set up and this being set up and technical issues and you don't have to memorize as much, which is nice. You still have to memorize, but you don't have to memorize
yeah,
the whole production.
yeah.
I was in a show a couple of years ago that was just a two-person show, and we were literally both on stage for 90 minutes
Oh,
without
gee,
no breaks, never left the stage. So I
yeah,
had to be right there. There's no reviewing the script. But this was a great experience. Had a really good director. You may have heard of him. And and I was amazed, really, like I said, lots of waiting, but I was amazed once everything got set up how quick and efficient the shooting actually was. It was bam, 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 we've got it, move on.
yeah,
And that was really good. Great bunch of people to work with.
yeah,
Everybody was everybody was very talented. And at the same time, I didn't notice any egos around the set. Everyone was really
yeah.
committed to the project,
Hmm.
which was really, really good.
Let's see, we did you and Jake one of the first weekends, right?
Mm-hmm.
At the house.
So
So that was our first shooting weekend. Was a lot of Jake scenes, and then later that evening scenes with you. And I was just like blown away at the preparation that everybody had come in with, and like, again, you just all this time spent on production and getting the scene set and lighting and all that, and then I go over and give you 5 minutes of direction and conversation. I mean, that's the most I think that and then you guys just like, boom, you're in it. And it was really exciting because I had, again, I'm a first time director with working with actors that are not for commercials. And it's just different with like a story kind of thing, you know? And so, yeah, it was just super exciting and seeing you that first night. And like, I remember we did a take and purposely we wanted to do a one take with a handheld all the way through. And it's one of my favorite scenes. And there was a lot of like choreography. There was like, okay, you start here and then you're going to grab his shoulders and you're flipped around here and then you walk out the door. And looking back now, after you talking about all of your stage acting, like that was right up your alley because it was, you could get in a rhythm. You could, you know, I didn't want to chop up that scene because then it's, you know, I like to give you enough space to get somewhere emotionally. So, and I think we did do some other coverage after that, but a lot of what we used was that like one take, you know, that was, it was messy. The camera op didn't quite know where you guys were going to land. But that looking back, I think that suited you well.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah,
That was, yeah, I mean, that was a great scene. I think
yeah,
that was a powerful scene, and we had some good rapport going on,
yeah,
and of course, people in general. I mean, we're all performing all the time, right? So someone like Mr. Bissey, when he's in the office, he has a certain persona that he's projecting because he's the boss there.
yeah,
When he, you know, in his employee and also friend's kitchen, he's got a whole
yeah,
different demeanor. Oh yeah.
yeah. I appreciate you, man. Thanks again.
Okay, thank you for this chance.
Yep. All right. Take care. See you, Matt.
Good talking. Take care.